It's road trip time. Yay! We are going to Hot Springs this weekend. Hot Springs, Arkansas. They've got all kinds of stuff to do there. We're going to go to Magic Springs and Crystal Falls. It's like Arkansas's biggest amusement park that actually has an integrated water park. You can go from water rides right to the amusement rides as long as you're wearing like water shoes or whatever and a shirt. So we're going to do that tomorrow, hopefully. Today we're going to get down there. It's about 2.5 hours from where we live, and we're going to go to Mid-America Science Museum. They've got all kinds of interactive exhibits. The kids love that. And we're also going to hit Garvin Woodland Gardens. It's a 210-acre botanical garden, and it's supposed to be really nice. They've even got garden railway trains running through it, so we're going to go check that out also. And we'll do some other stuff too. We're going to bring you along for the ride, so let's get going. I do have one issue though. Of course, I planned a big outdoor weekend, and you know what it's doing right now on this fine Friday afternoon? It's raining. Just about got the car packed up and ready to go. We've also got our PlaySport water camera. We've got it set up in the car. Hopefully we can do some road trip shots with that. We'll see. What were you telling me a while ago?
You picked a great time to go on vacation.
Hey, we're off. Now, why don't you flip it around so it's pointing towards us? It makes a big difference when you do that. That's it. Hey, we're off.
You're off. Your rocker. You've been off your rocker for a long time.
Been off my rocker for a long time. Well, I know that we're off finally to Hot Springs, Arkansas. 2 hours and 42 minutes.
In the rain.
In the rain. Yeah, well, it's not going to rain all weekend.
We'll see.
It should be cleared out by this evening. The first thing we're going to do when we get there is go to Mid-America Science Museum. And that's indoors, so it'll all work out. Now, I'm not sure how the rainwater is going to affect our pool at the hotel, though.
It'll probably be a little nippy.
Nah, it'll be fine.
For you.
You know, Hot Springs has got a really rich and long history. It was the playground of the rich and famous back in the turn of the century, the 20th century. We put together a little package to show you a little more about where we're going this weekend. So take a look at this. The history of Hot Springs dates back hundreds of years. Early Native Americans called it the Valley of the Vapors thanks to the 143-degree waters heated via thermal vents in the Earth's crust. Those hot springs still produce about 1 million gallons of water a day. The first European to find the area was Hernando de Soto and his conquistadors in 1541. In the early 1800s, President Thomas Jefferson sent our first explorers to the area to survey for the Louisiana Purchase. By 1832, Hot Springs was set up as a national reserve to protect the hot springs, making it, in essence, the first national park predating Yellowstone by 40 years. In 1875, the Arlington Hotel was built. Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, and other presidents stayed there and used the thermal spas for what was thought to be its healing properties. Al Capone, whose favorite room was 442 at the Arlington, rented out the entire 4th floor for his staff and bodyguards when he wanted to get away, as the town was then loaded with speakeasies and backroom gambling. Between the late 1800s and early 1920s, 8 bathhouses were built on what today is known as Bathhouse Row, making Hot Springs known as America's Spa, and travelers have been vacationing here ever since. During that same time, over 250 of baseball's early players, including Babe Ruth, would come to Hot Springs for something that came to be known as spring training. But there's a lot more than hot water in Hot Springs. There's horse racing and gaming at Oaklawn Park and many fine dining and nightlife opportunities along Central Avenue. And nestled in the Ouachita Mountains with Lake Ouachita at its doorstep, there's also an abundance of outdoor activities. From mountain lodges with fishing, hiking, scuba diving, and other water sports to zip lining. And then there's the fun spots for the kids at Magic Springs and Crystal Falls Amusement and Water Park, Mid-America Science Museum with fully interactive science exhibits, locations for mini golf, go-karts, and other dinner shows and attractions. The Spa City makes for a great weekend family getaway when you're in western Arkansas.
Honey, you're off your rocker. You know, it's so nice and relaxing to just drive along these country roads. On the crazy train.
That's us, baby.
You know, some people pay really good money to chase storms all across the Midwest. We're going to get to do it for free this weekend, I think.
Oh, how lucky.
I just hope it doesn't ruin the theme park tomorrow. We'll see. Well, if you ever watch Top Gear in the UK, you know what these are called. Caravans. Ah, yes, nothing like being on a 2-lane road with 2.5 hours to go and having a caravan in front of you. Well, in the U.S. we call them RVs, but...
Loaded caravan.
Now, when you're road tripping, there's a neat little game that you can play called the ABC game. You may know about it, you may not, but sometimes it helps pass the time on really long road trips. And basically, everybody in the car tries to get to the letter Z in the alphabet, the English alphabet, first. And you do that, and you can use anything outside the car that you want. You can't use anything inside the car. And you start with A, and you know, like there's my A, and whatever it might be, there's my B. And you just go all the way to Z, and the first person to get there wins.
And that's always me.
It might be a while before I get an A. Pretty countryside as you go through western Arkansas. Breezing into the Ouachita Mountain Range. For a lot of folks out west, it probably looks more like rolling hills. A lot of pine trees, too. Still no A. Oh, I got an A in Pondale Pond.
You cheat.
What?
That's the only reason you had me turn this camera on. We're coming up on Y City. Why they call it that.
Well, there's a Y in the road here. What do you know?
Creative name.
32 miles to Mount Ida, 68 to Hot Springs.
Woohoo!
Mountain roads. Some of these curves, you can actually see your taillights. It says crooked and steep the next 1 mile. We'll see. They call this Blowout Mountain, I guess because it's not a good time to have a blowout. Yes, we finally made it to Hot Springs and Mid-America Science Museum. Unfortunately, we did so much, we're out of time to bring it to you in this episode. So join us next time for interactive science museum fun. Will a Tesla coil straighten out Lucas's curly hair? Will it make him drink out of a toilet water fountain? Will Katie have enough hot air to make a balloon fly? All of this and more next time on the Vacation Getaway.